Am I the asshole for refusing to do a family gender reveal? Because my mom turned my last one into a circus. I, 27 female, am pregnant with my second child. When I was pregnant with my first, my mom begged me to let her throw a gender reveal. I agreed, under the condition that it be small, just immediate family, backyard vibes. Instead, she turned it into an event with over 40 people, some I didn't even know, hired a photographer, had pink and blue smoke cannons, and made herself the center of attention by pretending she accidentally spoiled the gender. She didn't. It was staged for photos. It was stressful and honestly humiliating. Now that I'm pregnant again, I've told everyone, including her, that we're not doing a reveal. Just a quiet announcement later on. My mom lost it. She said I was depriving my family and accused me of punishing her for being excited. She even told my husband that I was cruel and hormonal. She's now posting vague things online, like, some people don't want their babies loved. I'm standing my ground, but now other relatives are pressuring me too, saying I should be the bigger person. Am I the asshole for not attending my best friend's wedding because of the dress code? I, 29 female, have been best friends with Lily, 30 female, since high school. We've been through everything together. Heartbreaks, job changes, family losses, and I was truly happy when she got engaged last year. When she sent out her wedding invitations, I was surprised to see a very specific and strict dress code. Floor-length formal gown in neutral tones only. Beige, grey, taupe, etc. No black, no white, no patterns, no exceptions. I'm not exaggerating, she even included a mood board. The issue is I'm plus-sized and extremely pale. Neutral tones, especially beige or grey, completely wash me out. I tried on multiple dresses and felt awful in every single one. I looked like a ghost in a burlap sack. I asked if I could wear a deep green or navy, but she shut it down. She said I was making it about me. I told her I loved her, but I didn't feel comfortable spending hundreds on a dress I'd never wear again, and feel like garbage in all day. I even offered to help with other parts of the wedding, but she told me she'd rather I just not come if I couldn't follow one simple request. So, I didn't go. I sent a gift and a handwritten letter, but now mutual friends are saying I was being selfish and that it was just one day. I honestly feel awful about it, but I also feel like boundaries matter.
Would I be the asshole if I went to some medical appointments with my family instead of my friends? Hi, so I'm 19 female, going for some pretty serious medical tests tomorrow. And when I booked them a few days ago, I asked some friends of mine if they'd like to come along and make a day of it to make it less scary. Then yesterday, 2 of my family members, aunt and cousin, show up in my city on a spontaneous visit. Aunt heard tonight what's happening and offered to go with me. She doesn't mind if I go with her or my friends, but I think she might be the more stable option. Friends have a tendency to make jokes at the wrong time, and I'm very anxious about the whole thing. Maybe being with family would be good. It's about an hour commute for my friends to where we agreed to meet, and I don't feel well enough to hang out with them after the tests. I'd feel terrible making them both trek out to sit in some waiting rooms, then go home.
Am I the asshole for tipping 83 cents? I went out to dinner with my wife last night. When the bill came, I gave the waitress my card. She came back shortly after looking upset. She slapped the card down on the table and said declined. I thought her tone and brevity was rude. I took out a different card from my wallet and handed it to her. While I was putting the first card in my wallet, she didn't move. I looked at her and said, "You okay?" She said, "If I go back and try to run this, are you still going to be sitting here when I get back?" I asked her if she thought her tone was appropriate for speaking to customers. She said, "You're only a customer if you pay." I asked to speak to her manager. She left with the card. My wife said maybe the waitress had encountered scammers before and was anxious about it. I said being rude and being cautious are 2 different things. The waitress returned with my card and the slip to fill out. She said this one worked. I'm sorry. I thanked her and took the booklet. Our bill was $91.17. I wrote in 83 cents as the tip and $92 as the total. I handed it back to her and started to get up to leave. She said, "You're really not going to tip me?" I said, "No, you were rude to me." She said, "I have to tip out the bartender and the busboy." "I just paid money to serve you." I said, "Well, in the future you shouldn't be so rude." My wife thinks I was an odd to the waitress and should have given her $10 at least, because it was an honest misunderstanding. I would have given her $28.83 if she wasn't rude to me, but I don't want to pay to be insulted.
Am I the asshole for refusing to change one of my family therapy made rules? Boundaries. Me 16 male and my sister 15 female lost our mom 7 years ago, and 3 years ago our dad got married again. My dad married Carrie. Carrie has 3 kids, 10 male, a female and from male. Carrie's older 2 kids' dad is in prison, and her youngest's dad didn't want to know. The youngest consider my dad his dad since he basically knows him his whole life. Me and my sister weren't happy when dad told us he wanted to marry Carrie. We didn't act out, but we were sad and I withdrew a bit, so my dad decided we needed family therapy with him and Carrie and her older 2 kids before they got married. Lots of stuff was talked about and the therapist asked us each to come up with 3 to 5 rules or boundaries that we wanted to insist on for us to make things work. Mine were: 1. I didn't want to share a bedroom with the boys. 2. I wanted to be able to talk about mom still, spend Mother's Day with my mom's side of the family and have photos of mom at home still. 3. Dad still makes time for just me and him, and I can have time with just my sister too. 4. I'll treat Carrie like an aunt or something, but she won't be my mom or my parent, and her kids will be my step-siblings, but I'll say step, and not just siblings. Rule 4 was talked about the most. I was asked how that should look and I said Dad should still do stuff for me like he did after mom died, and Carrie didn't need to take it all over. Carrie said she agreed, and if she wasn't going to be treated like a parent then she would rather be more of an aunt figure. Dad said that was good with him. My dad and Carrie got married after we had 5 months of therapy and things were going fine. We had some boundary, rule issues. Carrie's oldest wanted to share a room with me few times instead of his younger brother, and my dad and Carrie tried to push that a little more, but it worked out. My sister had the same rule but for Carrie's daughter, and again dad and Carrie tried to push but they backed down on that too. There was a Mother's Day issue last year too, but nothing super awful. Carrie's family were having a big party and dad and Carrie wanted us to go, but we wanted to be with our mom side. A month ago, my dad told me and my sister we were going back to therapy for a bit and he didn't say why. Our first appointment back was 2 weeks ago and my dad and Carrie said they wanted to change some of the rules, boundaries. Carrie doesn't like not being a parent to me and my sister. She said she has really come to love us and that we get along well enough that she thinks it would be better for everyone if we could call her and dad our parents and if she could be given the chance to prove herself to be a good third parent to us. My dad said he wanted that for us too, that we don't feel like a traditional family. The therapist asked them questions on their feelings and they answered them. Then she asked me how I felt. I told her that I didn't want to change that. I said I don't want Carrie to be my third parent and I like things how they are. My sister said she felt the same but that she wanted to add a rule about her not being assigned homework helper just because she's got great grades and finds school and learning easy. It was talked about again last week and again yesterday. My dad and Carrie are mad that I won't change the rule, boundary, and that I'm refusing to see their side or whatever.
Am I the asshole for telling my mom I don't forgive her for choosing her boyfriend over me when I was a kid? When I was 12, my mom started dating a guy who clearly didn't like me. He was always cold, made snide comments and treated me like I was in the way. I told my mom how uncomfortable I felt, but she always defended him and told me I was exaggerating. Eventually, she stopped picking me up from school if it interfered with his plans. I spent a lot of nights at my aunt's house, just to avoid being home. By the time I was 15, I moved in with my dad full time. My mom barely called or checked in. She married the guy a year later. I wasn't invited to the wedding. I didn't even know it happened until a cousin mentioned it. I stopped trying after that. We went years without speaking, until recently when she reached out saying she wants to rebuild things. We met for coffee, and she started talking like we were just going to pick up where we left off. I told her I can be polite, but I don't forgive her. I said she made her choice back then, and it wasn't me. She started crying and said I was being unfair. She said she was trying her best. I said maybe, but your best hurt me. Now she says I'm cold and holding on to the past, and some relatives agree. But I don't feel like she ever took real responsibility. Am I the asshole for telling my husband if he forces his daughter to go to school with poor hygiene as punishment? I will divorce him. 41 female, have a daughter, 10 female, from a previous relationship, and my husband, 35 male, has a daughter, 13 female, from a previous relationship. My stepdaughter has been the near-perfect child for a long time. She hasn't ever needed to be punished since I've with her father, until recently. She had a problem with another girl, 13 female, at school. The other girl made fun of my stepdaughter's lesbian mom, and my stepdaughter made fun of the other girl's poor mom. The parents of the other girl grounded her for 3 weeks. My husband wanted his daughter's punishment to match the crime. Since his daughter make fun of the other girl's financial situation, my husband wants his daughter feel like how it is to be extremely poor. The other family isn't extremely poor, by the way. His plan for his daughter is to go to school with poor hygiene for 3 days. No shower, no deodorant, no brushing of teeth, and reused clothes. I told him if he goes through with this plan, I will divorce him. Am I the asshole for not skipping a work trip because my husband is recovering from a hair transplant? My husband flew overseas for a hair transplant. We have 2 children under 7. I work full-time in a stressful corporate role. He never plans or researches in advance. I am supposed to go on a work trip for 2 days to a 2-day work planning retreat. It is important exposure. He will be post-op for 3 days by the time I leave. Last night he texted that he needed me to cancel my trip because he is recovering from surgery. Put him first. And I'm going to be beyond mad if you do this to me, and do not put me first the one time. I am asking. And if I go he won't take the kids to school. His head may be sore and bald but should not impede a pick-up and drop-off. My trip has been planned for about 6 months. His main gripe is that he will be seen so close to surgery. He did not need to choose this date, and up until yesterday, this was the plan. He told me my trip is stupid. I put everyone first, but I don't think I need to stay home and miss something so important for this. And I also think it is selfish to be saying this to me. I am always impacted by his last-minute changes and impulses. I am supportive of doing something that makes him feel better about himself. Why should I miss this last minute? Am I being selfish or is he being selfish? Am I the asshole for adopting a dog after I thought my boyfriend broke up with me? My boyfriend was going through a tough time. And he said he needed a break. He said he was going to press pause on our relationship and go visit his family in Washington. I asked how you pause a relationship, because I don't understand how that works. He said he needed some time to work on himself and asked me to respect that. After he left, I reached out to him a few times, via text asking him to let me know he arrived safe, and to say hi to his mom for me. I received no response. I tried to call and left a message asking if he had broken up with me. I came to the conclusion that he'd ghosted me, and my friends agreed. I was bummed, and my best friend recommended I find something like a new hobby or a new show to watch that wouldn't make me think of my boyfriend. I decided to get a dog. My boyfriend is horribly allergic to pet dander, so I never even considered getting a pet. However, since he broke up with me, I decided to get one. He's a senior dog from the shelter that needed rescuing. He's low energy and likes to lay with his head in my lap while I read, work, or watch TV. After 6 weeks away, my boyfriend texted me that he was back and coming over tomorrow, which was yesterday, so we could talk. I was shocked and texted him back asking what he was talking about. He said he was back and ready to unpause our relationship. He said he would talk to me about everything the next day. I texted back asking what relationship. He didn't answer. Yesterday he showed up and told me he had done a lot of self-examination, and was ready to move forward on his life path. He even wanted to talk about moving in together. Then he saw my dog and started freaking out. He asked me how I could get a dog when I know how sick he gets. I told him that since he broke up with me, I didn't think it mattered. He said he didn't break up with me. I said he ghosted me. He said he communicated with me telling me he was pressing pause and visiting family. I said not answering texts is ghosting. We argued in circles, and then he said he had to leave because he was getting an allergic reaction, even though he was standing in the doorway, not inside. I feel like he broke up with me, and it was okay that I got a dog. He says that he never did, and therefore it's a horrible act of disregard to have gotten a dog. Which of us is right? My best friend said I should break up with him because he's a jerk. I don't think I should have to break up with someone that already broke up with me. If I break up with him, I'm basically agreeing with him that he didn't break up with me, and therefore I was an asshole for getting the dog. Right?
Am I the asshole for not letting my sister and her family stay in my home even though I'm hardly ever there? I work at AFIFO fly-in fly-out construction site. I get paid very well and I enjoy my work. But the best part, besides the pay, is that I work 42 days in a row, then I get 21 days off. Like I said, I get paid well for what I do, so I tend to do whatever the hell I want. I bought a truck 10 years ago. It has 32,000 miles on it. I'm never home to drive it. I bought a house partly as an investment, partly as a place to keep my stuff. I'm there maybe 30 days a year. I'll give an example. I just got back from Colombia. I spent almost 3 weeks just traveling around checking out cool stuff. I'm at my house now basically to drop off souvenirs and to have a little sleep before I go to work on Thursday. When I'm done this shift, I will be going to Japan for a couple of weeks. So over the course of 24 weeks, I will use my house for maybe a week total. Just a couple of days between vacations and work. Long backstory, but it's relevant, I promise. My sister and her husband want to move their family into my house so that they can save up to buy a house of their own. They don't want to pay me rent or anything. They say that if they are there, then I don't need my gardener or my caretaker service. They will take care of my house. They aren't homeless or anything. They are both employed people with careers. They just want to save up. I was considering it until they said that they would put my stuff in the garage so they could have their stuff to use, like my couch and such. I like my couch. I like passing out on it. I like my stuff in my house my way. I like that the lawn is always mowed and that my fridge has a couple of days of my favorite food whenever I'm in the house. I said no. I told her I would help them with a loan for a down payment, but that my house was not for rent. She is pissed off now, saying that people like me are the reason there is a housing shortage. I'm not sure how. I don't buy multiple houses. I'm not a landlord. I just have one house that I like to have as a home base. Am I the asshole for leaving a family barbecue when asked to help in the garden? On Thursday, I was invited to a family BBQ at my ex-wife's stepfather's house scheduled for today. I brought BBQ sausages and prepared a homemade pasta salad and potato salad, being good weather. I dressed in summery clothes and shoes, as did my girlfriend, who was also invited. When we got there, we were told that we each had to help first clear the patio of dog mess my dogs were at home and then clear a space in the garden so that my ex-wife's stepfather could put a greenhouse there next week. After stating that I wasn't dressed for yard work and had just been expecting conversation and drinks, food on the patio, I declined to help. Instantly everyone made it clear to me that I wasn't wanted if I wasn't going to help, so myself and my girlfriend left and found a nice country pub for dinner instead. I've got back home now, and kids of the adults who were there are now calling me names on social media and stating that I'm scared of hard work.
Am I the asshole for telling my husband's sister to stop using my stuff without asking? I'm losing my mind in my own house. Like, literally. I can't even go a day without something of mine being touched, moved, or just gone. So here's the deal. My husband's sister moved in with us about 3 months ago, just temporarily, he said. She needed a place to stay while she sorted things out. Cool, I can be understanding. I said yes. I opened our door. But I swear, from the moment she unpacked her bags, she's acted like this place is hers. Not ours, hers. She uses everything. My lotion, my shampoo, my perfumes, my hair straightener, my clothes. I even found her wearing my hoodie the other day, and when I asked, she just went, "Oh, I thought you wouldn't mind." Like, girl, what? She drinks the last of my oat milk and doesn't replace it. She borrows my charger and never returns it. She even took one of my favorite mugs to work and chipped it. Didn't even say sorry. Just laughed and said, "It's just a mug." I've bit my tongue for weeks. Trying not to be that person. Trying not to be the petty one. But today, I snapped. She was doing her makeup using my foundation, my shade, like why? It doesn't even match her. So I told her, "Can you please just ask first before using my stuff? Like, bare minimum, just let me know." She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. Said I was acting like she's a stranger and not family. My husband just sat there like a statue. Didn't even look up from his damn phone. Now, the whole vibe in the house is weird. She's giving me the silent treatment, like I'm the one who crossed a line. My husband says I could have said it nicer, that she probably didn't mean anything by it, but I'm tired. I feel invisible in my own home. I don't want to police every little thing. I just want some damn respect. So yeah, I told her to stop using my things without asking. She thinks I overreacted. My husband thinks I should let it go. But seriously,
am I the asshole for telling my teen grandson that he is racist? Recently moved onto my daughter and son-in-law's property. Had been away for a number of years, but always in contact. Never saw this kind of language from anyone in my family until the past few months. Tonight, sitting on the porch, my grandson out of the blue starts talking about rounding up people of color, particularly those of Hispanic descent, and giving them over to ICE because they are allegedly paying $1,500 a head to turn in illegal immigrants. He has also had some recent rants about LGBTQ people, of which I am one, and some pretty horrible slurs regarding any people who are not white. Tonight I had enough and said something, told him that it is never acceptable to treat other human beings as if they are not valid as people because of their race or ethnicity. I told him that it was racist and hateful and outright mean. We are in the Deep South, and he is 15 years old. I know some of this comes from the people that he hangs out with in school, but honestly, some of it has to come from his parents. I didn't raise my kids like this and never tolerated that kind of attitude from them.
Would I be the asshole for telling my African American friend that she can't gatekeep my culture? So, I 26 female, am of Asian descent. I won't specify which just for a little privacy. I have a very diverse group of friends, some white, a lot not. We all hang out and honestly have very few issues apart from the usual ones that friends have occasionally. The problem arose the other day where a video circulated of one of my white male friends has taken some time off work to travel through different parts of Asia. He visited my home country, and while they're dressed in some of our cultural clothing while attending some events. Now the clothes are very comfortable and suitable for the climate, and he has continued to wear them on his journey. For context, my culture gets very excited when people want to wear and use our clothing. It makes us feel appreciated, seen, and celebrated. Not only would he have had the full blessing of anyone who he met while in my country, but he also would have the approval of every person on my community here. The only people who had an issue were some of my African American friends. They were outraged on my behalf and left some very insulting comments on his video and in our friends chat. When I clarified my culture's views and my personal ones, most of them calmed down and apologized. One girl, however, won't stop. She calls him a colonizer, full of white privilege, and keeps assuming the right to tell him he can't wear the items despite any comments otherwise. Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law to stop controlling what we buy for our home? I'm 24, recently married, and trying really hard to build a home with my husband. We just moved into a small rental a few months ago. It's not fancy, but it's ours. Well, supposedly. Here's the thing. His mom lives nearby and acts like she still runs our house. Like, full-on CEO energy. Every time I try to buy something for the place, literally anything she butts in. Curtains. Too dark. Plates. Don't match the kitchen. I once bought a laundry basket and she said it was a waste of money because we could just use the old one from hers. At first I let it slide. I told myself, she means well. But it just kept getting worse. One weekend I used my own money to buy a small table and a few kitchen supplies from the market. Stuff we honestly needed. My husband was okay with it. I was happy. Then she came over, looked at the stuff and went, "Who told you that you could buy that? I'm the one in charge of the things here." She basically told me I don't get to decide what we put in our own house. Like, what? I lost it. Not yelling, not screaming, but I told her very clearly that she needs to stop. That she has her own house, her own furniture, her own decisions. This one's ours now. Mine and my husband's. We're not her roommates. We're adults. And I need her to respect that. She went silent for a second, then said I was disrespecting her and stepping out of line. She told my husband I'm being controlling and ungrateful. And now, he's weird about it. He's not taking sides, just keeps saying, let's not make it a big deal. But it is a big deal. I feel like I'm constantly being told I'm out of place in my own home. I'm walking on eggshells in a space that's supposed to be safe. I don't even want to buy a mug anymore without second guessing. I don't know. I feel like I snapped because I'd had enough. But maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I should have waited and let my husband handle it. But he wasn't handling it. He never does when it comes to her. So now I'm here, second guessing myself. Again, I told my mother-in-law to stop deciding what we buy for our house, and that it's our space, not hers. I stood my ground. But she called me disrespectful, and now my husband's acting weird. Am I the asshole telling my adult daughter to wear deodorant and stop trying to sweat out the toxins while she lives in my house? My adult daughter, 23 female, currently lives me 45 female, her father, 47 male, and her younger sister, 17 female. She got into this new lifestyle, only eating certain foods, more exercise, no makeup, no shaving, no deodorant, and trying to sweat out the toxins. The no deodorant and trying to sweat out the toxins thing are a bad combination. She stinks. Also, she blasts the heater in her bedroom. She keeps boiling water to steam her face. She has even voluntarily chosen to sit in a hot car with the windows up. I told my adult daughter to stop, that her smell is unpleasant. She's wasting money, and this could possibly be dangerous. I told her my house, my rules, but my husband said I made a mistake. He said all I did was give her something to rebel against. Am I the asshole for saying that my brother-in-law and his future wife can't sleep in our bedroom while we host them on their honeymoon? I, 35 female, and my husband, 36 male, are fortunate enough to live in an area of the world that is very beautiful, and as a result, frequently visited for honeymoons. My brother-in-law, 30 male, and his soon-to-be wife, 28 female, are getting married in August and want to honeymoon in the area where my husband and I live. And they asked around a month ago if they could stay with us on their honeymoon. We agreed. They are family and are also tight on funds. We are happy to help and host them. However, they asked my husband last week if they could stay in our bedroom on their honeymoon. We have a 2-bedroom home, and our guest room has an air mattress that is used for when friends' family stay. Otherwise, it is my work-from-home office, hence why we don't have a typical mattress in there. My brother-in-law didn't really get into the specifics of why they didn't want the guest bedroom air mattress, but the gist seemed to be, we don't think an air mattress is honeymoon appropriate. When my husband asked me about it, I was honest with him and said I wasn't comfortable with his brother and his new wife sleeping in our bed on their honeymoon. My husband agreed with me. Apparently us saying no to this request has caused some issue in my husband's family, particularly with his sister who's saying we should just let brother-in-law and his future wife stay in our room as it is a honeymoon and they shouldn't have to sleep on an air mattress. We love everyone in this scenario, especially brother-in-law and his future wife, and don't want to cause a rift, so my husband is sort of leaning towards acquiescing to their request. However, I am not down to change my mind on this. It honestly really grosses me out because I believe that the reason they want our bedroom is so they can comfortably bang during their honeymoon on a regular, not air, mattress. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor I have no desire or obligation to babysit her children because I'm a stay-at-home mum? I'm new to my area, and I have made friends with a few neighbors through a mommy and me group. I have been in the group now a little over a month, and I have a 9-week-old. I have a neighbor who is in the group, and she asked me last week in an emergency if I could watch her 3- and 5-year-old. She looked desperate, so I agreed. I was like, well, it's just once. I am a full-time stay-at-home mom and enjoy all my time with my little one. That day I watched her children was hectic as hell. My daughter was fussy, and they children were very rambunctious to say the least. I was happy when she came and got them 6 hours later. She came to me today saying she needed me to watch the kids in the afternoons. I told her no. I'm not a full-time babysitter, and have no desire to take that much time away from my own child and navigating life with my child and husband. Her response was, well, it's not like I'm asking a lot. It's just the afternoons. I said it may not be a lot to her, but it is a lot to me. My husband works from home and he needs the house quiet to work. And I'm a new mom, and I'm not interested on taking on any other responsibilities other than what I have right now. She told me I was selfish. I told her she was entitled to think that I should help her, just because I'm at home with my little one.
Am I the asshole for asking my husband's Italian friend to cook for herself and told her I would not eat her food? My husband's friend flew in from Bellagio, Italy a week ago, and as much as I tried, I could not make her happy with any type of home cook or even restaurants in Melbourne. Took her out to restaurants. We wanted to introduce her to the variety of food we have. No sushi, no Thai food, no Chinese, because Italian food is the best. We went out for Italian 3 days in a row. She complained about pasta, about cheese. Anything is just not as good as in Italy. She complained about the wine not tasty enough. She got mad when I dared to order a cappuccino at 4 p.m. because we don't drink cappuccino after 12 p.m. I was just like, yeah, I drink WTH I want, at the time I want. Coffee was either to burn or not hot enough. We went to Kohl's to do some shopping, straight away complained about no authentic Italian pastas, and in the middle of the aisle, decided to teach me how properly say the name of each pasta. We decided to cook at home today. Mind you, I am Asian. I love my spices, and I love flavorful dishes. I decided to cook what I know best. Did not think it would be a bad idea. She came, and the first thing she said was, "Your house smell bad, fish sauce." And she proceeded to ignore my dish and asked my husband to take her out for some lasagna. When she got back, she told me I should learn how to cook Italian dishes, because it is not good for my husband to always eat fusion food. Online recipes are just stupid for straying away from the root W. I was so mad and did not mince words. I told her how arrogant and obnoxious to think Italian food are the best. Told her Italian are not the best, and we would not take her out for any Italian meals. She could go shopping for herself, cooked it, and enjoyed alone. Sorry, but the ingredients would not be as good as in Italy, but she was in another country. Be grateful for what she could find. She cried and decided to leave early. My husband tried to tell me that she is set in her way. She does not travel that much all her life. He told me maybe I should just say sorry to her just to smoother the situation. I refused. Told him if she cannot live without her Italian heritage for just a few weeks, there is no point for me to convince her to like me anyway.
Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to wear headphones for 1 hour a week while I have a therapy session? I recently decided to start therapy. I'm going to start for a range of different reasons. As I work Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, it's been difficult finding therapists that are available after I finish work and that is also suitable for what I need therapy for. I found one that's available on Wednesday until 6 p.m., which is good for me as I work from home, so I can just stop work and immediately start the session. I mentioned this to my girlfriend and said that since I have to have the session at home, I asked if she'd be able to go to the gym or to see family, friends for an hour. She said no, as her gym days are Tuesday and Thursday during the week due to the classes she attends. I accepted that and asked her if she'd mind wearing headphones or something for an hour while I have my session, as the walls are thin, so even with the doors closed you can still hear people from the other rooms. She said no to this and said she shouldn't have to wear headphones in her home. I pointed out it's only for an hour a week, so I'm hardly asking for much. She said no, and that I should stop trying to get her to do it.
Am I the asshole for making a dairy-free cake with eggs? My friend invited me over for dinner. Our tradition is to bring food when invited to dinner. I asked if I should bring a dessert. She said that would be great, but it needs to be dairy-free, because her daughter stopped eating dairy. I know a great cake recipe with no dairy. I brought it to the dinner and it was a big hit. My friend asked for the recipe and I told her. When I got to the eggs, her daughter became upset and ran upstairs. My friend asked why I put eggs in the cake. I said the eggs were responsible for the spongy texture. She said the cake wasn't dairy-free. I said it was. There is no milk or milk products in the cake. No cheese, no butter, etc. My friend said eggs are dairy. I was confused. Dairy is milk and milk products to my understanding. She said dairy is anything that comes from an animal. I asked if honey is dairy then. She said no, because bees are insects. I apologized, but I could tell she was still upset. Am I the asshole for asking my husband to stop telling his mom everything? I'm just gonna say it, I'm exhausted. Like, genuinely drained. So I live with my husband in a small apartment, not too fancy. Just enough. We've been married for 2 years. Things were fine at first, I guess. Until I started noticing this pattern that's now driving me insane. Every time we argue, like, every single time he runs to his mom. And no, not just a hey mom, I'm stressed kind of talk. He gives her all the details. What we said. What we fought about. What I supposedly did. Word for word breakdown. Like he's building a case against me. And then, boom. The next day I get a text from her. Or a cold stare. Or a passive-aggressive comment at lunch when we visit. Sometimes she even posts vague stuff on Facebook. Like, a good man deserves peace in his own home. Yeah, I see you. One time we had a stupid fight about laundry. Laundry. He told her. She called me to tell me, a wife should know her husband's routine by now. I wanted to scream. I tried to talk to him about it. Calmly. I told him I felt like our relationship wasn't private anymore. That he should come to me if there's a problem. Not his mom. I mean, we're grown. We live on our own. Why does it feel like we have a third roommate who's always on speakerphone? And he said I was the problem. That he needs someone to talk to and she's family. Like, okay, I get that. But what about my side? What about keeping boundaries? What about the fact that I'm constantly getting judged based on his version of the story? I snapped. I told him I couldn't take it anymore. That if he wants a wife and a full-time referee, he can go back to living with his parents. Now he's mad. She's mad. I'm the villain. Again. And I'm sitting here thinking, was I really out of line for asking for privacy in our marriage?
Am I the asshole for recording my friend's fiancé at her bachelorette party and playing the recording for him? I was invited to the bachelorette party for my friend's fiancé. It was over the long weekend at a vacation rental on the beach. There was booze, a hot tub, great food. It was definitely a hit. At one point, I was on the deck looking at the ocean, and the bride was drunk in the hot tub with 2 of her friends. She said she felt more relaxed than she had in a while. I assumed she was referring to wedding planning. One of her friends asked if she was having trouble with the little monster. She said no, that he was manageable for now. At that point, I realized they were talking about my friend's son. I took out my phone and started recording them. The bride's friends said horrible stuff about my friend's son, and the bride responded positively to everything, laughing and agreeing. Then she said that it was too bad he wasn't old enough to send to military school. I stopped recording when their topic changed. I don't think they ever realized I was close enough to hear them. When we got back, I asked to meet with my friend, and I played him the recording. He was quiet while he listened. After the recording was finished, he asked me to send it to him, which I did. Then he asked me to delete it, which I said I would do, but haven't yet. I feel like an asshole for interfering. I really do. However, I'm worried about my friend's son. Depending on what my friend does, I might need to send this recording to the poor boy's family. I feel like I've overstepped, but what else can I do? Am I the asshole for not shaving my legs before a date and making him uncomfortable? I, 26 female, went on a second date with a guy. I wore a mini dress and didn't shave my legs. They weren't super hairy. Just a bit visible up close, ... I just didn't feel like it and don't always do it unless I want to. ... The date was nice. But later he texted, next time maybe smooth legs. I felt kind of weird about that. ... My friend said I should have shaved because it's early dating, but I don't think I should change my body for someone I barely know.
Am I the asshole for poking fun at my cousin's divorce after she insulted my wedding? I, 29 female, got married at 20. My husband and I were young, desperately in love, and super broke. I was never one to want a big wedding, so we kept it small. I will admit, my cousin, 36F, helped a ton with the decorations. I'm not one to be super into that stuff. I was fine with it just looking a little plain, but she wanted to make the day special for me, and I appreciated it. I sang her praises the entire day, paid her for helping me after the fact, and literally made a speech the day of the wedding how grateful I was for her. I should also note she got married a few months before me in an extremely lavish, extremely expensive wedding. Her wedding day was actually perfect and everyone still talks about it. However, she got divorced about 4 years ago. I'm unsure what has caused this, but now any time we are together she makes fun of my wedding. She mocks how small it was. She mocks how corny the venue was. She insults my bridesmaids and my husband's family, and how useless they were the day of. I normally don't react because honestly I don't care about her opinion. However, today we are at a large Father's Day gathering with all my family. From the second she saw me, she started ragging on my wedding to her new boyfriend. I'm not sure, but something in my brain just flipped and I said back to her, well, at least I'm still married. Everyone in my family is upset with me. They said I went below the belt with that comment, but absolutely no one has ever checked her for insulting me over and over and over. Am I the asshole for telling a man's wife the truth about his relationship with me? A few weeks ago, I reconnected with a guy the first used to date, very casually. He told me he was divorced, lonely, and still healing. We started talking again, flirting, and it seemed like he wanted to rekindle things. He asked to be friends on Facebook. Later, I got curious and checked his profile. He had blocked me, which was weird, so I looked deeper, and I found his wife's profile. Not ex-wife. Wife. Still married. Still living together. No sign of separation. Meanwhile, he had been spinning the story that they were long done, but she just hadn't accepted it yet. I sat with it for a bit. I didn't want drama, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she deserved to know. So I messaged her. Calmly, kindly, told her what I knew and what he'd said to me. She responded thankful, calm, and not surprised. Turns out she had her suspicions. My friends are divided. Some say I should have stayed out of it. Others say I did the right thing.
Am I the asshole for reminding my dad's wife that she was supposed to be my mom's best friend but instead was a backstabber who cheated with her best friend's husband? I 17 male live in a toxic household. So my parents were married and seemed happy when everything fell apart. My mom found out she had a brain tumor and on that same day she found out my dad was sleeping with her best friend. I was 10 at the time and for like 5 weeks life was crazy with my dad and Haley, who was meant to be my mom's best friend trying to make her forgive them. My mom started having seizures because of the tumor and I think because of the stress too and she died 5 weeks and 2 days after she was diagnosed with her brain tumor. My dad and Haley moved in together after my mom died and they decided they would try to raise me and my sister together. My sister was 8 at the time and my dad has said she took her cues from me, but we did not accept Dad and Haley and we acted up a lot. I yelled at them, called them names, refused to listen when they asked me to do something and I told other people what they'd done. All of Dad's friends, all of Haley's friends and our neighbors knew and mostly because of me. I interrupted their wedding a bunch, my sister did but not as much. We wanted to live somewhere else and they refused. They got us all into therapy and I didn't put any work into fixing things. My dad and Haley had 2 kids and I refused help or care. I make a point of telling or showing what they are and what I think of them. For my dad that meant cutting him out of photos and I say every now and again that I'll change my last name to Mom. She never changed hers when they married. And I talk about my maternal grandpa being the man I want to be most like because he's the best guy I know. But with Haley, I remind her every time that she was supposed to be Mom's best friend and she was a backstabber who cheated with my dad instead. And I do this in front of other people if she tries to act like my parent or take praise for my good behavior around other people. She told me I need to stop bringing it up several times, but I ignore her. I tell her I won't ever stop. Her aunt died last week and she told me I needed to help out around the house more while she was with her mom and her cousins. I refused and she told me this is what the oldest sibling and oldest child does and I reminded her I wasn't hers and brought up the affair again. She broke down and I told her I didn't feel sorry for her and she told me she felt guilty enough and like Mom haunted her enough and she said I was doing nothing but driving her crazy and making her feel like she had to isolate from everyone because otherwise the whole world would know with the way I act. She told me I was bullying her and that I should go after Dad and not her. I told her I'll go after both until I can cut them out of my life for good. Then I told her she didn't deserve to have a happy life after what she did. My aunt Dad's sister came over after Haley called her and she asked me to stop bringing it up. She told me Haley and my dad don't need to be forgiven, that reminding Haley like this and shaming her and making it difficult for her to have relationships where people won't know and judge isn't okay because the kids she and Dad have together will suffer.
Am I the asshole for feeling it's unfair that my wife expects me to do half the housework when I already pay for almost everything? My wife 30 to female and I 30 for male are both working professionals. We've been married for years. While we both have jobs, I end up contributing around 90% of the household expenses: rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, you name it. She contributes maybe 10%, which she acknowledges, but says it's because I earn a bit more. Fair enough, I don't mind paying more, and I've never thrown it in her face. However, where I'm beginning to struggle is the division of household chores. She expects me to contribute at least 50% to the cooking, cleaning, laundry, etc. She says since we both work, it's only fair. But here's the thing, I'm already shouldering almost the entire financial load, and I also have a pretty demanding job with long hours. After a full day, I come home and still end up doing dishes, cooking dinner on alternate days, or doing laundry. I've tried having conversations about this, saying I'm exhausted and feel like I'm carrying the weight of 2 people financially and domestically. Her response is always that she's tired too and that helping out at home is part of being an equal partner. Again, I understand and agree, but why doesn't that logic apply to the financial part too? It's not that I don't want to help at home. I've always been the kind of guy who believes in equal responsibilities. But if one partner is contributing significantly more financially and also doing close to half the housework, isn't that just too much? Lately, I've been feeling burnt out. I can't remember the last time I had a full day where I wasn't either working or doing chores. Meanwhile, she gets time to relax, meet friends, or just unwind. When I bring this up, she gets defensive and says I'm making it sound like she does nothing, which is not my intention at all. I just feel like the current setup is unsustainable and emotionally draining for me. I don't want to start resenting her, but I'm getting there.
Am I the asshole for telling my husband's sister to mind her business about my clothes? Okay, so this has been building up for a while. I've been trying so hard not to explode, but I honestly don't know how much more I can take before I lose it. I'm 24, I stay at home most days because I work remote, and I like to wear comfy clothes, shorts, tank tops, oversized tees. Sometimes just a loose dress if it's hot. I'm not trying to impress anyone, I'm just at home. That's it. No audience, no reason to dress like I'm going to church. But here's where it gets messy. My husband's sister moved in with us about 2 months ago. She's 28, no job right now, just figuring things out or whatever. And ever since she came into the picture, it's been nonstop comments from her. At first, it was little things like, "You're still in that? Isn't that kind of revealing? You know, there's men in this house, right?" As if I'm walking around naked in front of guests. It's literally just me, my husband, and now her. I tried brushing it off. Like, okay, maybe she's conservative, maybe she's just weird about clothes. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, but she kept pushing. Started making passive-aggressive jokes in front of my husband, like, "Wow, I could never wear something like that. I respect myself too much. Your wife really loves attention, huh?" And he just sat there, didn't say a word, not once. I asked him in private if he could talk to her. He told me she's just being protective. She means well. Protective of who? Me. From what comfortable fabric? Last week was my breaking point. I came down for breakfast in a loose crop top and pajama shorts. My husband wasn't even home, just me and her. And she goes, You should put on a bra before you sit at the table. It's just not decent. I snapped. I said, you know what? I live here. You're the guest. You don't get to police what I wear in my own house. If you're uncomfortable, you can look away or maybe find your own place to stay. She acted shocked, like I'd attacked her or something. Told my husband I disrespected her. Now he's mad at me for causing drama. Apparently, I overreacted and should have just ignored it. But how long am I supposed to stay quiet while someone basically slut-shames me in my own damn home? So now, everything's tense. She barely talks to me, and my husband keeps giving me the cold shoulder, like I'm the villain here. I don't even know anymore. Maybe I did go too far. But I feel like I've been tiptoeing around this for weeks, and no one's stood up for me. I had to stand up for myself.
Am I the asshole for going no contact with family pushing me to find a new wife and a new mother for my children? I 31 male lost my wife and the mother of my children 5 years ago. Ever since I have been working on rebuilding myself and my life and making sure my children are doing okay on top of grieving for the love of my life. The three of us have been to counselling, me when my wife first died and my kids when they got a little older as they were 2 and 3 when she died. I did go back to therapy last year to help with some family issues I was having centered around my loss, and that's what brings me here today. I have not dated or been interested in dating since my wife died. I don't know if I'll ever be interested. But I can say right now it holds no interest for me, and I personally don't think it will. The first year my family were all great. They gave me and the kids space when we needed it, and they came and supported us when it was needed too. My in-laws and them had a pretty decent relationship at that time too, but it changed a little over 2 years after my wife died. The very first time someone mentioned dating to me was 14 months after my wife died. And it was just a question of did I feel like I wanted to date. I said no and it was left alone. But once the 2-year mark hit, I was told I was young and needed to get back out there. When I said I wasn't interested, some of my family turned on my in-laws and blamed them. They accused my in-laws of shaming me into staying single for the rest of my life and of pressuring me to stay a grieving widower for the rest of my life. I corrected my family who was saying those things, but it permanently fractured the relationship between the two sides. I took some time out from my family, explained why their behavior bothered me, and I asked them not to push or to bring it up again. I said if I date again it will be my choice and when I am ready, and not because other people have a timeline because of my age. They were better for a couple of years, but then it did come up again. I told them to stop trying to be subtle and focus on something else. That I was capable of deciding if and when I want to try dating again. This was also when I went back to therapy, and again it eased off. But then during a birthday party for one of my nephews, a couple of family members asked my kids directly if they didn't want a new mom. It pissed me off, but my kids' answer of no made me laugh a little because my family acted so shocked. That one word answer really caught my family off guard. I took the kids home after that and I told my family that was unacceptable. I got responses back that they were just looking out for us and leaving was a bad move, etc. So I told them it was time to put distance between me and anyone who can't accept my decision not to date right now. I told them anyone else who wanted to pressure me or use my kids like that I would also be no contact with. I blocked quite a few family members. Anyone who doesn't mention it isn't as bad isn't yet. I did have one relative ask why I couldn't just ignore it and why I had to go no contact. I told them bringing my kids into it was going too far and I had given them more chances already, but they wouldn't stop. I told the relative I am old enough to make the decision for myself. They told me they didn't agree, but it's up to me. They said they thought I was being too harsh when the family's actions come from a place of care.
Am I the asshole for refusing to take classes to help me take care of my autistic stepbrother? My mom's husband has 2 kids. My stepbrother Jake is 9 and my stepsister Ella is 7. My mom and her husband have been together for 5 years and married for 2. 3 years ago my mom joined her husband and Ella in classes to learn how to care for people on the spectrum. It's supposed to cover a bunch of stuff and educate on having family members on the spectrum, so it wasn't just about caregiving. I 17 male was literally dragged along but didn't take them seriously and never passed the classes. For one, I didn't want to be set up as a babysitter for Jake and Ella. The other thing was I resented all the changes we had to make for my mom's husband and kids to move in that accommodated Jake. My mom's husband said they wouldn't move in together if I didn't take the classes, which was also what I was hoping for. Clearly that didn't work. And now they lost their regular babysitter who could take care of Jake, so the pressure is on me to take the classes and pass this time. I'm refusing and I offered to live with a family member if they weren't okay with my decision. Mom said no and she's not pushing me away. I told her she needed to let this go then. Her husband said I'm being an ass to Jake and he deserves better. I told him I already accommodated a lot for Jake and it should be my choice whether I step up to be a fit babysitter or not. My mom begged me to reconsider and she told me the babysitting will be off the table. But to pass them to show I want to learn how to interact with Jake better.